The Porcelain Doll. There once was a little girl who received a beautiful porcelain doll for her birthday. She was thrilled when she received it, as she had never seen such a lovely doll before. The doll's hair fell in soft blonde curls and her lips were painted a ruby red. But most striking were her sapphire blue eyes. The little girl listened happily, as her mother explained that the doll was very old and had come from a faraway land. Smiling ear to ear, the little girl ran off to her room to play. During the daytime, the girl adored her doll, but as night fell, she began to feel differently. The same beautiful glass eyes she fancied in daylight began feeling eerie at night. It was odd, but no matter where she went, the doll's eyes seemed to follow her. When it was time to go to bed, the little girl placed the doll on top of her dresser. However, after getting in bed, she could feel the doll's eyes watching her from across the room. This scared her, and so she got out of bed and picked the doll up. Not wanting to be watched as she slept, the little girl put the doll inside of her closet and closed the door. Pleased with her work, the little girl went back to bed. But the little girl did not have restful sleep. That night, she dreamed that she heard the patter of tiny feet moving across her floor. When the little girl awoke the next morning, she was frightened to see the porcelain doll standing on top of her dresser again. Scared, the girl ran out of the kitchen to find her mother. "Mother, did you move my doll last night?" she asked. "No, darling," her mother replied. "I did not." This upset the little girl, but she tried her best to think of an explanation. Maybe, during her restless slumber, she had sleepwalked and moved the doll herself? She nodded, happy to accept this reasoning. And so the girl went on with her day. While playing in her room later that day, her mother entered wearing a frown on her face. "Honey, did you touch one of my knives? You know the rules." The little girl crossed her arms and shook her head. "Of course not," she cried. "All right then," her mother said, her brows still squished into a scowl. The rest of the day passed well without incident, and the girl put her worries about the doll behind her. At least, that is, until it was time for bed again. The little girl walked over to the dresser to put the doll in the closet again, but to her shock, the doll was not there. The little girl looked all over her room. She searched under her bed, in her drawers, and even inside the closet. But she did not find the doll. Finally giving up, she decided to go to bed. Once again, while the little girl slept, she dreamt of the sound of tiny feet pattering across her floor. She tossed and turned a few times, hoping the noise would stop. That's when the little girl realized that she wasn't dreaming, and that she certainly was not asleep. Now frightened, the little girl sat up. Slowly, she reached out a hand and turned on her lamp. As the light filled her bedroom, the little girl let out a scream. There, on her bedside table, stood the porcelain doll. Her arm was raised, and closed in her little fist was the missing knife.